pressed go live. All right, waiting.
All right, let's
All
just
right,
not.
now
do
I'm
Linus
just waiting
Tech Tip,
until it
okay?
actually shows.
Yeah, we're
Linus Lore Tech.
this
It's
is take
changed.
one.
Yeah.
This is take one, by the way.
Sure.
Hey,
Yeah.
it showed up. Fuck
sure.
yeah. Okay, we're good.
Sure.
All right,
Sure.
all right. Welcome
three.
everyone to the March 2023 podcast for Outpost 1018, the anime podcast, I should say. I am Neo Tokyo Tempo. Everyone else, introduce yourselves.
I am
676
Getzer.
here.
Oh, Getzer, you or Josh?
Come on.
Come
Don't be
on.
I'm
shy.
RJ. I'm RJ, otherwise known as Baron.
All right, Neko here. I wish we had pre-show.
We had plenty of pre-show. All right.
Recorded
And
and
all we
posted
did
for
was
people
just
to
talk
hear.
nonsense.
Cabrones,
Random stuff ever.
hold on. Hola, cabrones. This is Louis. I'm also known as Striker Red. Worst Outpost panelist for 5 years running.
All right. So for this month, we watched Cyberpunk Edgerunners, based on the popular video game by CD Projekt Red, Cyberpunk 2077, which is based on the now largely forgotten about tabletop game Cyberpunk 2020. So Cyberpunk Cyberpunk Edgerunners it stars a kid named David, who is very poor and is being sent to a rather expensive academy by his also very poor mother at the expense of quite literally like their entire budget. And then she dies, and
Terribly.
and he
Wow.
finds out that she had stolen a piece of military hardware, a cybernetic implant,
Off cadaver.
and he gets it installed, and then he joins a gang. That's basically the premise of the show. So let's go into the animation. For the first time in quite a while, I was genuinely impressed with the animation in a new show.
It's a miracle.
For one thing, we actually get cars that are 2D animated and not CGI, which is that's like unheard of nowadays. So that's quite appreciated. Everything's very fluid. There's also plenty of blood and gore and tits. It was quite a delight to actually see like high quality animation the way the way I used to see it. I never thought I'd ever see anything that was like on par with the car chase scene in Gunsmith Cats, for example. Again, I didn't expect that.
This is what Trigger does whenever when it comes to animation. They go ham. Like Trigger is that one company that, well, let's be real here. If you never watch Gurren Lagann or Kill la Kill, it has the same energy because it's done by the same people.
I mean, you say that, but they did Darling in the Franxx, and the mechs in that were CGI, if I remember correctly.
No, I mean in the way that
He's talking about the energy of the story and the action and all that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy.
Yeah, in the case of Kill la Kill, it's grindhouse as fuck. Whilst this, and fun fact, this is actually a precursor to the story of Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah, sort of.
More or less.
Not really. Because all of the characters that are part of, like, maybe one of them showed up. The rest of them are just, they not even mentioned. Like, Lucy's not in the game, to my understanding. At least I haven't saw her anywhere. But the rest of the characters, they're they're nowhere to be found, really.
All right.
Well,
Go-
we're talking about the animation.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
One of the things that just made my day was it was so refreshing the way they handled Sindevistan and the bullet time. It wasn't just
Yep.
the Matrix style of, oh yeah, you can see the wave off. It was this beautiful, almost trippy art. The way they handled it with the like after frames, almost like Alucard from Symphony of the Night.
Yep.
So I loved the effect they used for their bullet time.
Yep.
And David confronting Adam Smasher.
That was awesome. That was
The two of them using that bullet time effect and the different after images of them.
It wasn't just.
There was so much care into the placement of that and the way that scene progressed.
Yeah. It wasn't just like a Dragon Ball Z knockoff, because that's what a lot of animes do. They just do the whole blinking in and out of existence thing with sound effects.
And that's where no one else in the scene can see this, but it's done from the lens of Adam Smasher and David, seeing how they're moving through space at that speed.
Well,
that's such a brilliant scene.
And then there's how colorful this bloody series is. Like straight up everything. The aesthetic itself, it's so fucking intense.
It nails it.
Yeah, it's very nice to see. If I remember correctly, unlike a lot of shows nowadays, the color in the artwork actually has like high contrast. So like all the like dark colors look like properly dark, and all the bright colors look like properly bright. Instead of like just having this kind of washed out, almost pastel look that a lot of shows have nowadays.
I hate that stuff.
You're right.
Well,
what's interesting is it uses the pastel colors but boosts the contrast. So even the hospital light pinks and sky blues are still very bright.
So,
well,
I'm gonna throw a little bit of contradiction in here. So I think one of the biggest issues is actually how bright the world is, that it's hard to make these characters stand out as much. They live in such a vivid world that it's making it difficult on what you want to be focused on the entire way through.
When everything's neon lights, it's hard to focus on.
Yes, so it's
Well-
very interesting. It's you want the background characters to look like they're from this world, but they nope, there goes RJ. Okay, goalie's back. But you want everyone to look like they're from this world, but you also want the main characters to be able to stand out well. So it just creates a lot of small issues throughout the entire anime where you just get these crazy looking background characters, but you want more because you want them all to kind of look like they're part of this world, and it ends up being David's outfit looks pretty plain. So does Main's.
I disagree.
Compared to what we could have gotten, it's pretty plain. Lucy and Rebecca are the only ones that really, really stand out in this world.
Well,
Yeah,
hold
but
up.
The
David's
reason why they
jacket.
have a different styles is because it's a part of their character.
Yeah, and also they're also
I mean-
control that economy.
Yeah, so that's the reason why. So his jacket is the thing that he wears because of what he represents in a story of what he's trying to be yet.
Mhm.
Same for Maine. He is this guy because he has one of those scarves and all of the glass and stuff. He is the type in the story that's supposed to wear that stuff. If he would have wear I don't know, any other thing really, I would say would take from the story a lot. From the visual aspect of what the creators of the show trying to tell you. That those characters are, they know what they are, they know exactly what they want to be, and the creators know, like, well, this is a story we're telling about this character, and he's supposed to look like this. Because if he would be like brighter color, for example, or wears like a different jacket or something, like I would say that would not work. So the one of the examples of that is like a God Eater, for example, where yeah, aesthetically it's the game aesthetic, but the way that they wear the costumes and stuff, that's not good. So here they did a pretty good job of that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's quite like a lot of this show takes place at night, and what you see with the neon lights is there are neon lights, but like next to the neon lights, it's like it's not like quite black, but it's like really dark in
Right.
between all those lights.
Yeah.
Well,
I think the
it's
bright
called
colors
Night
of
City,
the
so
I think the bright colors of the characters of I think David's bright yellow jacket stands out in the night scenes. Not so much during the scenes during the day though.
Dude, I'm not gonna
there's a big
lie.
focus on like sharp edges, and so the way they're juxtaposed against their backgrounds. You got the neon lights, and the characters' outfits also share that same design choice.
Dude,
Mm.
if
Like
there is
all the outfits have like neon light lines and shapes along them to fit the same environment they're in.
Yeah.
Mind if I add something? Will, since you mentioned the cars, I like the fact that I like the retro-futuristic aspect of the automobiles themselves in the game and in the series.
Mhm.
Especially when you consider that most of these are modeled after old 1970s and 1980s American cars.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Well,
foreign cars. Like,
I mean,
this is... So, here's the thing. In the case of
Literally, the tabletop was made around that time too.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and not
Don't-
only that, like it's throwing back to like the synthwave era, which just became cyberpunk music.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
If
it's not all.
If I'm gonna say anything about the cars, is I don't like that look with like two sets of front wheels. I think that's kind of silly looking.
Oh. Well,
Well,
it's
ask
in the game,
Tyrell
so-
when they built the T34 Formula One car.
Isn't the only reason that's really done is for like semi trucks, and so in case a tire
Well,
blows
they
out.
they do that in like with like the rear wheels though.
Well, it's more
Yeah,
like,
you're right. It's where it's never used for front wheels. Have double layer.
well, in some companies, some car companies in Europe actually do. They have 8x8 axles. Some in the military. Basically, here's the thing. It's like all the designs were straight from either Marcello Gandini, Giorgetto Giugiaro from Italia Design, and a little bit of Battista Farina, just for the hell of it. These are car designers blended together with a little bit of hyper futurism and a little dash of all things, asymmetry. They're asymmetrical, especially because to the headlights.
Oh,
Mhm.
Symmetrical. Oh yeah, just joking.
Well, the reason why it's that way is because the game in the original one and this one is supposed to like all the Cyberpunk. It's supposed to bring and like elevate and push to the limit of that aesthetic that was in 70s and 80s, especially in
forgot
like
something.
late 70s.
I
And
forgot someone
all
else.
of the other things that you see in this show and in the game, it's just they push that to a limit. They exacerbate the trends that were late 70s, early 80s, basically.
Okay,
And you
wanna
can
know
see that in the game. And
it's like
in the,
there's that
in the
underlying like,
anime.
hey, y'all like Blade Runner?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it's yeah, basically.
Okay,
Although Blade Runner is different in terms of like Cyberpunk
But
because remember there's
it's that hint, nudge, nudge. That
Yeah.
like Blade Runner was like the film that kind of epitomized cyberpunk.
yeah.
Fun fact. The
Well,
guy who did-
not really. It's popularized.
Hold on, let him talk.
No,
I was
that's
gonna-
all I had to say.
I was
Sorry.
gonna mention that I forgot one other person who was influential in the cyberpunk genre, and that is Sid Mead. The man's artwork. This is
Oh.
the man who This is the man who not only designed the cars for Blade Runner, he also designed a lot the elements for Cyberpunk. This man is actually quite famous when it comes to his artwork, and a lot of the cars in the design were actually paying tribute to Sid Mead's designs.
Well, yeah. I mean, that look, if you want to play quintessential game about Cyberpunk, this is the one.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. They like
anyway,
this writer's been extremely well known for like the guy who created the tabletop, the guy who like
Yep.
helped work on the game. He's been known as being like one of the best people in the cyberpunk genre. Like, I mean, there's so much work that has been based around this.
Mhm.
Like this series, I should say. Um, but it's this is so quintessential if you love this stuff. Like something that I'm gonna harp on about is Cyberpunk was my favorite thing growing up since I was like 12, and there is a lot of elements in here that I feel like they could have done better, but we'll get into that later. Um, but just visually, the only issue that I had was I wanted more. I wanted to see like all of the issues that come like this is okay. So this is right before the video game, so it's supposed to be a little bit grittier. They should have shown a lot of like the cyber mods and stuff being like a little bit glitchier, or like having a little bit more issues. Um, like there could have been a little bit more wear and tear on like their body and skin, just because that's how that stuff works. Um, but outside of all of that, like it's just so fucking clean. Like the visuals, if you aren't like the most in depth with what cyberpunk stuff is and like why it's so cool, this stuff is just a wash, and it looks so fucking great. So
Yeah. Let's move on to the music and sound design.
oh god, it's so good.
I'm sorry. I have to jump in right now. That Who's Ready for Tomorrow? That track where David does his first walk home. Boom, boom, boom. That song is now permanently stuck in my head, and it should be longer. It's only like what, like a minute 40, like just short of 2 minutes. And I'm like, come on, man. No, you could.
The soundtrack to the show has it has like sort of two sides to it.
Yeah.
One side is like very contemporary and electronic,
and the
and
other side's whimsical.
well, no, the other side's like sort of like
Death
like
metal.
80s or 90s like punk and metal. Even the opening track, I know like Franz Ferdinand is sort of past that era, but they're like they're somewhat similar in sound to like a lot of goth bands like The Cure and Joy Division. So and the opening track is like fantastic, by the way.
Pardon me to interrupt you, Will, but since I know you played Burnout 3 Takedown,
I have not.
Seriously? Burnout 3?
I've played Burnout 1 and Burnout Revenge.
Okay, this song, this Fire by Franz Ferdinand was one of the was actually in the soundtrack of Burnout 3 Takedown. It's a banger.
But yeah, it has those two sides of it. Some of the more contemporary electronic songs, I found them to be a bit lacking in emotional weight, and I did find them to that lack in emotional weight to take down, like bring down a few of the scenes.
There's a lot of the soundtrack that was just Make cyberpunk music.
It,
Okay,
I
so okay.
but
I'm gonna go on a really, really, really niche rant right now. Um, so industrial music has fallen off, and it's all synthwave, dark wave, and just like it's a mess. If you listen to like any industrial
yeah.
music right now, it is some of the most terrible things that is coming out. It all sounds like it's still being processed in the 90s and getting worse. And
Oh
it's
yeah.
so fucking bad. I've been looking for it. I do club
Corn
DJing, and
Corn was
like
the
it's
first band. Corn was the first major band to start sounding like that. I'm actually really disappointed.
it's
KMFDM, the one band
mhm.
nearly worship, they're okay now, which is bad because they were
Well,
amazing before, and
it
now it's just like, okay, great. Now you just
I'm
sound like you're in the
I
90s again.
mean,
I'm not gonna
I,
get into it, but basically it's like
Yeah, yeah.
like She Wants Revenge is like the top industrial band right now, and it's so bad because like if you go to goth nights and shit, like
Wait,
people
wait.
are actually pissed off. Anyway,
yeah,
La-
so
just pop
there
up a
is
new
a
Disturb album.
couple songs in here where it's bordering on where goth music and like cyber music and all of that should be. I think it was Rebecca's Crazy, something
Hmm.
like that. That song title. I actually played in a club recently, and like a bunch of people were like, "What is this? I love it. Where is this from?" So like I'm using the music from this in my sets, and people are like, "Holy shit! Like we've been missing this." So like
damn.
while on some edge of it, like there is like that lacking because that's where we are right now within like the industrial scene of music, and like you're getting a lot of that mix because there's no good industrial artists at the moment, and that's probably why a lot of this happened. Um, you're also
Okay,
seeing at least a little bit of a light of like now there's something, there's like a little bit of fucking hope, and it's from the show. So it's so fucking weird that this is happening. Uh,
Yeah.
but like that's where we are. This show is actually bringing a little bit of an interest back into industrial music, which is
okay.
kind of cool.
okay. I would say the weirdest soundtrack I've heard in this it would be that one track that plays whenever the guys are celebrating, like hanging out, the
Mhm.
weird Polish reggae song.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
usually the weirdest thing because I didn't even know that shit was a thing. Polish
I'm so,
reggae.
Wait, are we done talking
I'm
about
sorry.
characters? Because I want
Uh,
to talk about characters.
No,
We haven't
Well,
even
not
gotten to
yet.
the characters yet. We're
let
just
me
talking
double
about
check.
music.
Let me double check real quick. He said Polish reggae.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Hold on. Let me go pick my brain up real quick.
Um. Okay. So the
yeah,
song I was talking about was Rebecca's Crazy Style.
yeah.
That was the song. Just
Mhm.
for that. Also, Sweetheart Madness was really really good. Both are by the same artist. Um. But yeah, no, like stuff like that is
The
amazing. Um.
great.
Yeah,
There were
Mike. I'm
some
talking about that one, reggae slash dance hall song that plays whenever they're drinking on the parking
Oh,
lot.
okay, okay, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, where Rebecca's using the red and blue hands.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, and Pilar is using
That
the
like little throwback to the animation. That scene was so great. The
Mhm.
way she's carrying herself on those hands.
and Pilar's long as arms whenever he's juggling the bottles and shit. Yeah, her brother.
Hmm.
Yeah, definitely top trigger trademark.
Like this show hit a lot of good points. Sound, animation, characters. Like
Hmm.
it feels weird for it to be a one-off. I'm like, this was meant for like one more at least.
Um,
It feels that way, but it like yeah, we'll get there. Um, did anyone else want to say anything on sound, or should we at least talk about like the voice acting, just real quick? Because outside of some of the writing where like you can tell like it's not the voice actor's fault. Um, it was really really well done.
Yes.
So
I'm not gonna lie. This is one of the few instances where the dub is legit. For the most part, it's
Yes.
actually as good as the Japanese dub. As the Japanese dub.
I only watched the dub, and I was genuinely.
watched
normally,
both.
Normally, I watch a dub, and I'm like, okay, I can see the flaws. Let's hear what it was supposed to be. And this was one I felt comfortable just watching the dub.
Yep, same,
Which is,
same.
It's
I
so
fucking
rare
love.
for me to get that like vibe off of a
Who did
dub.
the voice for Rebecca's brother? Because it almost sounded like Joe DiMaggio.
Kurt Thornton, if I recall.
Doesn't it sound like Joe DiMaggio, aka Bender?
Hold on, let me look it
let's
up.
see, let's see. Her brother
ca-
was. Fuck.
Yeah, it was Ian James Corlett.
Who that?
Pillar, yeah. Ian James let's see, what did he play? He is best known for Adult Goku in Dragon Ball Z. In the Ocean dub. He also is known for.
Oh, Smack! That dude.
Yeah.
He's of you Test from Johnny Test. What the hell? Damn. Let's see what else. He's also the voice of Miroku in Inuyasha in Yasahime Princess.
What the heck?
Yeah. Yeah, dude. Speaking of voice acting, Jesus fucking Christ, fucking Giancarlo Esposito of all people playing the villain.
He played Salem in Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Whoa!
I'm sorry. What?
Hey,
In-
seriously?
In the anime one.
Yeah,
Or,
yeah.
sorry, in the animation one. That's
Wait, yeah,
fucking
the
weird.
like the Disney animated.
Yeah.
What the?
Salem.
Yeah, Canadians are wild
Oh,
as hell.
yeah, like that's like a blast from the past for me. Like I grew up on that.
Yeah.
I
crazy.
watched like the Disney Aladdin and Sabrina the
Yeah.
Teenage.
Mhm.
What?
Holy- This is
Yep.
this guy also played Bob in Reboot.
He
hell?
has a
Yeah.
crazy past. So that shows like they had an amazing American cast for once.
Well, the guy, half the voice actors are Canadian, the other half are Californian. So, all right. In the case,
I'm sorry. I should correct something. They're professional Californians. They're not just like, you know what I mean. Like they're not. I really didn't like some of the voice acting from Netflix's redubs of animes.
Mhm.
Looking at Shinji, sounds like he like
No,
I like the idea.
like that was somebody from the UK. That was somebody from the UK, but there's lots of actors and voice actors from Netflix stuff who are just really immature. Like it's clear that either the writing is terrible or they're just like they're acting because they knew someone like that was doing the project, you know?
Mm-hmm. So I mean, and yeah, we're getting into a lot of that stuff, but it's the fact is that like we're actually getting good voice actors in this, and it showed. It really did show. Like this is what a team of good voice actors should look like and sound like. There was a lot of emotion in it. There was a lot of people actually caring about what they sounded like. Like they actually were going full force. You could hear the emotion behind it. It wasn't just like this like fake like Shinji no. Like you're not getting that. You're getting like this like actual like crying.
Rebecca's English voice actor did such a good job.
I know.
Dude, Faraday was so damn intimidating. I loved Faraday's acting.
It also helped that he was. What was he like?
Faraday was Giancarlos Esposito.
Yeah, I love that man. But what I'm saying is like he did such a good job as Faraday because like when he plays that Grand Moff in Mandalorian. Yeah, like I was pissed at him. I'm like, God damn it! Like, why do you have to ruin the day, man? But with Faraday, it's just like I can't wait to see Dave kill him. I can't wait to see. He plays such a good villain because you can tell. So
I was gonna say, watch his interviews when he talks about voice acting and playing a character. Giancarlo Esposito really digs into what his character is supposed to be. Even when he's
That's
voice
smart.
acting, he dives into what does he want to do? What is his goal? Like in The Mandalorian, he dug into why is this character?
I get that. I was just saying like with Faraday. Because Faraday's a scumbag. There's a difference between a Grand Moff who is doing his duty for whatever delusional belief, and somebody who is just evil, like fucking Faraday, who is sleazebag, basically. So Night City is a mix of San Francisco and L.A. It's like Faraday is the sleazy fuck you see in every big metropolitan area that fucks over younger people or just fucks over people that are just in general. And somebody like that who just fucks people over on a regular basis, they're gonna be scummy as fuck. That's a given. But with Faraday, it was just like I can't wait to see Dave kill him. I cannot wait to see this character get killed. And it was so satisfying when he was. But it's just like Esposito is really good at voice acting, and it not only showed, but like here's a rule that I have. If I want a villain dead. If I want a villain dead for genuine reasons, not because the voice acting is annoying or because the actor is annoying or whatever, but because the acting is good and the character is being portrayed well, that's a good portrayal. And This is that.
You didn't see his. You didn't shit.
No.
You clearly didn't see his role as Gustavo Fring in Breaking Bad. Then.
Yeah,
I know what he's from.
It's like he's from so many things. His work is so good, and I didn't know that was him. Whenever I watched it, so it was like that. That's it. Like that's all that matters. Is like how many voice actors have we heard over and over again? Where it's like, oh, that was the same one as this guy, and he did this, and he did this, right? There is only like 2 or 3 really, really good voice actors in the anime scene right now. That like you don't know whenever they're playing a character unless they're using their generic voice. And to actually get this that's what we needed.
And in his interview, he talked about one of the things, he approached it not as a voice actor, he approached it as an actor. So he was doing the exact same thing he did when he played Gus Fring, when he played Mosfet. Like, he made it a point to become the character in order to do the voice, as opposed to, I'm coming in, I need to make a sound, which a lot of voice actors try to do.
Yes.
Well, speaking of coming in and playing the character, let's move on to the characters.
Yes.
I like Rebecca's brother. Hold on, no. I've been waiting for this thing just like to say I loved Rebecca's brother. He looked like Lobo. He looked like Lobo from DC Comics, and the way he reacted to everything was hilarious. Rebecca shoots at him because he's being a dickhead after Dave delivers his new arms. And then he tests his new arms on the spot. He's like, he sticks his arm out because he knows like Rebecca's gonna shoot, and all he screams is, "They're bulletproof!" in excitement. Like it's just so fucking funny.
All right, let's get to the characters then.
Yes.
All right, let's talk about David, of course.
Fuck him.
Oh.
Hot take.
I'm sorry. David made me feel the same way when we watched Ava. I hate the main character. Stop whining.
I don't think. I don't know. I don't think he's quite like what Shinji is. It's like Shinji is like.
Shinji just
like throughout the show, Shinji is pretty devoid of like masculinity altogether. Yeah. David really isn't. In fact, he's more masculine than like most anime main characters.
But he suffered the same like pitfall. I had the same like, man, shut up,
dude. I mean,
I have issues with him at the end. But there's so many good things about him. It's like he was given a shit hand, and then he made it the best possible, like, like he took it in the best possible direction, and then his mentor basically dies, and he takes over the crew and mans up, and he leads him, and he does the best job that he possibly can. Um, there's a
Agreed.
lot of issues at the end. I don't want to get into them. Like we
And
don't. I don't want to talk about the end that much because like
and
I
he
want
goes
people to watch
head
it.
to fucking head
But
on the same fucking level as the main bad character from the fucking game. Like,
Mhm.
come on.
Oh no!
Like,
Hold on.
he's the
Not
man.
hold on. The main bad character from the Arasaka faction, because like not just from the table, not just saying that because of the tabletop, but in Cyberpunk, yeah, Adam Smasher is like the champion of Arasaka. So yeah.
And he goes toe to toe him. It's like head to head, like on the same level almost.
Mhm.
Yeah.
he,
It's
he
like,
like
keeps up
this
pretty well, but like it's just like I don't
he
want to get into the
look,
ending, but like if we're talking about just him, like he gets so boneheaded with some decisions. This is the only issues that I really have with him is like his boneheadedness at the end of like, oh, I need to do this. Meanwhile, he like really didn't. He could have backed out. And he had opportunities to back out and save himself and save other people, but his decisions led to a lot of bad things near the end
yeah.
whenever he was making so many good decisions up until that point.
Yeah.
And
I was
that,
told
There's a scene like in the very beginning that like in the first episode that really sells him as a character for me. And that is like when he's like in the car and his mother is scolding him. And keep in mind he doesn't have a dad around, all right? So it's up to his mother to like sort of lay down the law, but like she ends up crying during this whole thing, and he sort of acts in a way where he's like subordinate to her, but also sort of like the man of the house. Um, and it's like it's exactly like how I would expect like a teenage boy to like react in that sort of like scenario. Um, and it just works so well.
All right.
well, and
I'm
it's
gonna.
it's also
I
just to like talk a little bit about like why I love him as a character and just use that example. It's he is trying to step up. He's trying to do better for his mom, and he makes out to be like what an actual good male role model is for like the like people watching. Like if someone was like, "Oh my god, like I love this character. I want to be more like him." A lot of the stuff he did is so good that like he actually is a positive male role model, and we
Well,
very rarely get that in any show anymore.
I
well,
actually
I wouldn't necessarily call him like a positive male role model.
he
I
lives in a metropolitan area in a
I
giant.
think I think I think he acts in a way where you would that you would expect a properly masculine young man to sort of act in his scenario, but he already has so many problems from being poor and not having a dad around, and on top of that, like on top of that, he like sort of eventually, everything sort of goes wrong for him,
Mhm.
and he ends up he ends up turning to decisions that are where
Adult.
like you can understand why he makes these decisions, but he really shouldn't be.
All right.
Yeah, but he,
Yep. Hold up, Lewis. What do you want to say?
Oh, for God's sakes. All right.
Chill.
wanna-
Wait, that's why we paused, and I said, "What do you want to say?" Go.
All right. I want to say that if I had to compare between Kenichiro Ohashi or Sakagura, I would honestly say Sakagura did a better role. as David, because let's be honest here, Zack. I'm not gonna say this is a representation thing, but Zack is Latino. Like
What the hell?
Yeah, he's Mexican.
Hmm.
He actually did a better job. I mean, this is the same man who voices the male traveler in Genshin Impact, as well as Tanjiro Kamado in Demon Slayer. Compared to Ken, who was the voice of all things, Jaden from Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. Oh, honestly, it felt more natural regarding the English dub,
Mhm.
which is
Yep.
something I rarely compare this. I like this is the same thing happens with a couple more I'm gonna talk about later on. But honestly, there's a reason why Zack won Best Voice Actor when in the Crunchyroll Award show. I know awards are meaningless, but he fucking nailed it
Well,
as David.
So let's move on to Lucy, as
Oh,
we already spent a lot of time
Oh,
on
yeah.
David.
yeah.
The leotard on her, amazing. Love it.
What?
The memes that I'm playing
I'm
is,
good.
I'm starting to realize I genuinely hate the two main leads of the show.
Oh god.
I hate David.
It's okay.
I
You're allowed
hate
to be wrong on
Lucy.
the show.
I'm starting to realize I love everyone else.
Yeah.
Now
I
Lucy,
felt this way about many animes, but go ahead.
there's a lot of anime characters that are a lot like Lucy. She's a bit of a tsundere, not like totally though. She seems like rather aloof at first, and then she slowly opens up over time.
No wonder, no
Not
wonder someone we
really.
know actually. No wonder someone we know actually dressed up as her, because the dude relates to her.
And I've
Oh
seen
god.
I've seen this character in several other Trigger animes. So it might be a Studio Trigger thing. I'm not sure.
I mean, let's be honest here. Half the employees were also used to be from Gynats, so
Mm.
I
She's very generic for what she is.
hard to get.
Look
she-
wise,
she-
yeah, but
she's generic for what she is, but she's also done quite well.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
in the episode where she's showing David the moon and all that, he's over at her apartment. It starts off quite flirty. Like how that goes, and then I forget who says what, but like one of them says something, and like there's an instant like flip in the conversation, and everything becomes like all the talk becomes less flirty and a lot more emotional.
Basically,
And
when David,
I remember watching it and just thinking, man, I have had nights like that.
oh, you
Yeah.
mean when David when David was saying that he was going to take her to the moon?
yeah.
No. When she was showing him like the VR, I think it was the second episode.
Yeah, the VR of the moon.
When he said that the moon is a prison.
No, the city is a prison to her.
Yeah, but that's what she said to him later. Like literally
Yeah.
next line. So the conversation just flips, and like, oh, he fucked up.
Well, it's
But,
not necessarily he
know.
fucked up, but it brought the mood from flirty to just like
yeah,
deep emotional talk in an instant.
because she straight up said like we're like was it worlds apart or something,
Mhm.
and it's like, yeah, I mean, considering what her character is and her arc, because she's the only one who not like went from that story onward with like alive basically. Spoiler.
I'm gonna say something. Which is I appreciate something about the main leads. As Will Tokyo said it. I'm sorry, Gitsryu said it. Dave is properly masculine. He doesn't overcompensate. I mean, Josh also mentioned something. He takes care of the group. Alpha male doesn't mean like, oh yeah, I bang whoever I want and I do what I want. Yeah, no, it's not that like meathead low IQ shit. It's being a good father, being a good bigger brother, being a good leader. And Dave is the embodiment of that. And what I appreciate about Lucy is this. She does have that whole like, I'm not like other girls thing, but it's because like she's a lab subject. She was, I don't know, was she kidnapped when she was a kid, or was she just an orphan that they
No,
found?
just orphan.
She was
Yeah.
an orphan.
Wait,
Yeah.
or was she
Her
sold? I
character-
can't remember.
No. She was an orphan and
Okay,
got.
she was-
Arasaka was experimenting on their orphans, and whoever. Basically, I think what happened is because of medical exams, they were finding all the children with really strong neural systems, so that they could implant them with neural implants, so that they could have them test out the wall, which is actually really horrifying in Cyberpunk. It's basically like a
Ultimate
constantly. Hold up! It's a constantly active firewall holding back ultimate darkness in the cybernet, because there's literally AIs hell bent on destroying each other and mankind, and they're being pushed back with this giant wall.
Her character is literally framed as the woman behind the man. The woman acting as the support for him. Is that he?
But hold on. Can I say something real quick?
Yeah,
usually those characters, it's either that or they're douchey, self-centered, narcissistic. Like we've seen this in anime a lot. We've also seen it in Western media, where you either get a writer who's an incel, or just someone who's got mental issues, and they write a female character who can do anything, and she's special, and she's a chosen one. It's just like I've seen male characters like that, and they're equally annoying. I'm not talking about Mary Sue or any of that shit. I'm talking about you get a character who is conveniently special, but is also narcissistic as fuck. Like, yeah, sure, I left a bus full of children screaming to explode, but what matters is how I feel. Like, and that type of character is celebrated as like this empowering thing, but in reality, it's just a male writer doing their, basically their like. Anywho, she was not like that, and I appreciate that because she was special. And then, like, Arasaka was still after her. They couldn't find her because she was smart enough to change her identity and stuff. But she risked getting caught again just to save him, and like she deserved to survive. But I'm sure she's like traumatized as hell
She is not fucking happy.
No, she's not happy at all. She deserved to have survived. Like if there's one person that like, they were all decent people, but if one person deserved to survive, her and the driver for sure. Those two in that crew, decent people. But what I'm getting at is she especially earned that because she risked getting caught by the most nefarious corporation. Even Militech isn't as bad as Arasaka in that world.
Oh yeah.
So let's
what I like, what the characters, what I like about the dynamic that they had, because they obviously fall in with each other basically. What I love about the dynamic is that there's kind of a pauses between them talking and like reacting to each other's like things, because he understands that like he's not gonna go anywhere with her later on anyway, because of the shaky hands, all that stuff. And she's like, she understands that, but she cannot bring herself up to actually tell him that. It's like telling him like, yeah, we gotta stop, we gotta cut it off.
We gotta cut it off before you end up like your mentor.
That's very human. Like, this is how humans behave in general. Like, this is what people do. And she cannot bring herself up to tell him that, like, oh, I am actually doing something for your sake, because that's what people do if they're in love and stuff. Now, I
Yeah,
still would like
normal
to see them
behavior.
back
No,
in for a second season because hey, they're gonna make cute babies. Just saying.
but yeah, not gonna happen.
Okay,
I'm
okay,
sorry.
okay. I'm
You
gonna
never
ask you
know.
Wait,
this
well, yeah.
question.
One thing. Exactly what you said, Neko. They're behaving like human beings in
Yeah.
love. It's almost like
Yeah.
they were written by an actual person and not an antisocial neurotic fuck.
They were written by the guy who wrote Witcher series. Like,
Oh shit!
not not the books, the games. And
Nice.
he's a good writer. Like, I haven't read a lot of these books. Like, he has some.
Yeah. Even the
But
characters in The
games,
Witcher are natural.
like, dude, like,
yeah, he writes characters very naturally.
yeah,
What I was saying is when I say
and
neurotic, what I meant is a lot of writers that are like the opposite of him. When they write characters, it's like they're writing a fantasy about someone they know in real life, and none of their characters are natural. They are just rigid. Like it's very obvious the person that wrote them didn't understand people.
because they're self-inserted. Like, look at the I don't know, like Marvel stuff. It's a self-insert characters usually. This one, you actually can spot that this is a good writer because he can write characters that are completely different from him. And going by his Twitter, yeah, no, that's not him.
I'm not gonna get into it,
But
but
what I like
Powerpuff Girls,
even better
Powerpuff
about
Girls,
the
the
show.
writer.
Oh yeah, well, what I like even better about this is the love tragedy. Like, this is not per se cyberpunk-ish theme, but it has a core which is love tragedy essentially, with like a few threads here and there about other stuff. But the way that is like enveloped into the like a shell of cyberpunk, and the way that writer uses the cyberpunk, I guess, rads and the ideas from the world, that's applause worthy. Really, this is really good one. This is one of the best writing script that I've seen in a while. Uh, at least that ones that we assessed in this show. And I mean, I would love to see the second season with those characters back. But I mean,
If they were, they would be horrifying knowing Arasaka.
oh yeah,
So
yeah,
let's
because they can bring them back. There's no reason not to, really, if they want to make a second season of this show. Because considering I'm not gonna spoil anything, but like considering the events of the ending, like there is no problem with bringing it back because, well, John Silverhand is back.
Okay, real quick. Aoyuki or Emilo, who did it better regarding her voice?
I would say, Emmy.
I only watched dub, but
You know why? You know why? Because Io is really good. She's a good voice actor, but I think she's too cold from the entire series. Like,
In the chat, she actually she tried to get into more mature roles because all things considered, her voice as Lucy actually reminds me of her voice as Lisa Roseweiser in the Honkai series.
Look, she does Tanya from the
Tanya.
Yeah, that's she has a lot of. She has a very impressive age for like what? She's like 20 something.
31 actually.
31. Very, very impressive range, but I think Amy Lowe did a better job in terms of like, it's not only the character that supposed to be like cold but opens up, but Yuki just does just cold character. It's too cold for that kind of a character in the first place.
all right.
Guys,
she's still amazing. Don't get me wrong.
Okay, we've been going
she's
on
still
for
amazing,
like
but
a while on. Yeah, we've been going a while on like these two.
Continue.
So
Continue.
like we still have how many other characters?
The Gremlin.
Faraday.
Yeah, I was gonna say like we have Rebecca, we have Faraday, we got like Rip
Main.
Doctor.
Well, we should at least cover one villain before we go to plot. So let's go to Faraday.
Yeah.
He's the only one, really.
I'm super excited about this one. So my group is cosplaying all from Cyberpunk, and they were like, "Hey, you get the pick because we already picked out like Like my one friend's fucking ripped, and he's like, "I'm doing David." I was like, "Well, I am left with like nothing because there's not many male characters, and I can't do main, for many obvious reasons." So I was gonna be either Pillar or Falco.
Oh
But I
god.
was like,
Uh,
I messaged my
Oh
friend. I was
no.
like, hey, can I do Faraday instead? Because my fiance's doing
Josh, no offense, but it's Pilar.
I was gonna say my fiance's doing Kiwi, so like that's gonna be like a
Oh.
really cool, yeah, like combination there.
But
Um,
never mind.
yeah, and then it's fine. He's Asian and he's doing David, and his girlfriend is, well, his girlfriend looks like Lucy. So
Who cares?
Let's
yeah.
go with
So
Friday then before I get pissed off.
Yes.
It's like very
with Faraday, the first time we see him, it's just after they complete, or it's just after David completes his first job with his new crew,
Mhm.
and they're all sort of celebrating, and Faraday comes by to scold them for essentially doing a botch job, uh, which, to be fair, they kind of did. They I don't think they got the data, and they ended up stealing
Hey,
a
let me
limo.
see.
They got the data, but the problem is that they wanted the routes for the guy, like a routine, like a path data, and because that wasn't a tag, the route got basically scrambled. The transition, whatever thing. So
Yeah,
like useless basically for them.
Yeah, so they just wanted to get the data knowing like what the route was gonna be, and then they ended up stealing the car, and then they knew like it wasn't that the data was useless, it was that became useless because they knew that it was under attack, and now that they know the routes, they have to rechange all the routes. They have to rechange his entire like routine now, so
Yeah,
everything
basic
became
security protocol.
useless. Yeah. So like because something was breached and they know something was breached, now all that data that they retrieved was useless because of that. But yeah, go ahead.
but yeah, at first, when we first see him, we realize immediately, um, this is more than just like some gang pulling odd jobs. That they're sort of like in sort of like an organized crime machine that they really can't just get out of.
They're mercenaries.
Yeah.
Yeah, mercenaries stealing weapons, military weapons, grade materials. Holy shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, it's corporation versus corporation, so it's like
Yeah.
they're just the ground grunts.
They're contractors.
Well, they're
Well,
mercenaries
yeah.
that are being hired by one corporation to fuck with another corporation and try and get their secrets or kill their top guy or figure out their military tech so they can take the next step above it. Um,
Yeah.
and like it's such a good like stepping stone of like how big this world is, where it's like these big corporations are hiring like the smallest people just to like get one more step above each other. Like
Yeah.
they're in these multi-trillion-dollar suites and have all of the greatest technology, and yet they're still like just being like, hey, I just need to know this like tiny piece of information, so I'm gonna hire like thugs just to like find out one or two things. It's such like a like how big this world is of like how big the stepping stones are.
I'm gonna mention how calculating Faraday is when it comes to his employees. Like he's the guy
Man's a
behind.
bastard.
Yeah,
Mhm.
not only that. Like I did say, like the reason why why I compare him to Gustavo Fring, his other most famous role, is because like Faraday, Gustavo in the series Breaking Bad, is actually a very calm but calculating son of a bitch. Or at least when it comes to Sylvan Crystal Meth.
You remember the scene where he's talking to Bryan Cranston? He's like, "Your guy came in high. He was high on weed," and he's like, "That's my guy." It's like, do you trust him? He gets things done or whatever. I forgot how the dialogue was. He was scolding Bryan Cranston's character, and he's like really, 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 really like professional about it. It's like basically like, I just walked in to my restaurant and your guy was high as hell. How the hell would I trust somebody like that? And he's saying it like in the most like professional way possible. Faraday was like that on crack. That on crack.
Oh yeah, he is also a very intimidating character in the first place.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, like
especially when
the
it comes
first
to
time you
Calvin.
see him, he's talking down to Maine.
yeah.
Maine's not exactly the type that would just let someone talk down to him like that.
Yep. Not only that, but Faraday at the end goes like fucking nuclear on the what's his name?
On
The
the
guy
crew.
with the no, it's the Arasaka Corp guy with the giant interface.
Tanaka-san.
Yeah. No, the other one who's
Adam Smasher.
Smash it.
no,
There we go.
no, not him. The guy who is a corpo, the giant red eye, big dude. That guy. He's actually in the game. So
Adam Smasher.
no. The guy who's supposed to like cybersecurity dude. So from the Arasaka Corp. So
Oh, the dude who calls Adam Smasher. Okay.
yeah. He goes like on him, like straight up. It's like,
See, what's
and
his name?
like
Can I
I
say
think it's
something real
like
quick?
I know. So, this is the thing about secondary characters in the shows. Like you don't really like you just have visuals. You don't care about what they are,
Yep.
and they don't show you much. So, but
I was gonna quickly.
know.
Hey, can I just? I really like the attention to detail that they paid. They paid a lot of attention to detail because. Sorry. They
Is his
paid
name
a lot of
Douglas?
attention
By any
to-
chance?
They paid a lot of attention to detail because when they had the scene involving the Maelstrom gang from the game, the Maelstrom gang are people that occasionally deal with Melitech. They're basically like wannabe Hell's Angels. They're not Hell's Angels. They're like wannabe Hell's Angels mixed with wannabe Green Beret / Spec Ops. They're just basically like a bunch of dudes who and well guys and girls that are just like obsessed with like being badass. So like they live literally in a food packing factory, and some of them are missing their heads or the top part of their head because they've gotten like complete head implants.
Yeah.
Like it's military gear, and they were drawn so well. I was like, "What?" I recognized those because I played the game before watching the anime, and I mean, like I played it when it came out, and I was like, "Damn, the studio actually paid attention to like NPCs and factions."
Yeah,
he's not.
Neko, you're talking about Douglas.
Yeah, Douglas. Yeah. But the thing is, the Maelstrom, for example, like they're just chromed. Like they're crazy. Like they all like chromed. They don't care about because they're essentially a like a sailed version of the Emperor's Guard from Warhammer. So
All right,
Yep.
so we're starting to run out of time here. So let's move on to the plot.
oh yeah, there's a lot of plot. A lot of plot.
So
All right.
Yeah, a whole enough
some plot synthetic, others natural. Sure.
Come on,
enough
Lucy's
plot
natural.
to
Come on.
enough plot to fit into a whole leotard.
I was gonna
At the
say,
Oh,
very least,
yeah.
we can
much
split it
natural
into
plot
two
here.
halves.
Look, the way that they portrayed, because look, remember, this is I think, love tragedy. So the rest of the story just kind of sits like as the like outer shell. So we have to kind of understand that in the first place. And the way that they packing the characters essentially is that you have like a smaller beginning, and then it goes in and in and in, and at the end where you have a pinnacle point, it basically slaps you the hardest because you have all of these. Because none of the characters are like, when the show, in a lot of shows you have, oh, it's the main protagonist, so he's gonna be alive and stuff. This one, you do not know that. Like, you have no idea what was gonna happen in the end, and it delivers every single bit of it, like straight into the heart, essentially.
To be fair, there is never a happy ending in a cyberpunk society, let alone in a
Oh yeah,
cyberpunk series.
oh yeah,
And in the case of Night City, in the game, it is labeled as the last bastion of freedom, like the last. Think about it this way: this is Ancapistan if it was a city.
Well, it's exacerbates the problem of like '70s, basically, where you had all of the things sociological, political happening in the United States, and that's kind of a
American Psycho was a documentary, not a movie.
yeah, more or less. But well, yeah, but this is like a wild west of like a suburb, like like a what is it, high tech, low life. That's what it's all about. So you have to hustle for the whole thing, and that's what main characters really do. But that's the background. The story is basically between David and Lucy making out, essentially, and trying to achieve their dreams. And the way that I would describe the story is basically David is a good character that doesn't have his own wishes, and by the way, he's asked that directly, and he doesn't have an answer. But he tries to achieve a dream of one character that he actually truly loves. So beyond, obviously beyond his mom.
Yeah,
But
the,
that's a
the
different story.
ending, the ending, which ties back to what you're saying, was so depressing that I canceled a date with somebody. I'm not even joking. I'm like, I'm sorry, I need
Oh
to.
God. Oh, I'm
Damn,
sorry.
dude.
Damn, dude. Oh,
No, it was
wow.
that depressing. I was like, fuck, this is reminding me of things I don't want to remember.
Uh-oh. Oh,
No,
sorry about that.
remembering no, remembering someone else, not the person that the date was with.
Alright.
And I'm just like, fuck, this anime
We're
is
collectively
good.
apologizing to you for picking this show.
No,
Seeing
That's like really harsh.
no. I watched it when it came out. This is like months
I
ago.
see. Okay.
Yeah. No, I liked this. I was just like, at the time, I was like sleep deprived, and I wanted to watch the thing from beginning to end. And it was like I watched it across the span of a week, in between like schoolwork and all that, and like sleep deprived and watching it to the end. And that ending was just like, if the ending to Samurai Jack was a gut punch, this was a full-on beatdown.
Oh yeah. It like pierces you right in. It's
Yep.
like so good.
Yeah,
Oh,
watching David, sort of try his damnedest to just like keep everything together, be a good be a good leader, and do everything in his power to like achieve this one girl's dreams, and then just have like, well, I don't want to say too much. Just have like everything just
Everything
pulled
crumble.
out from, like the rug just pulled out from under him in the end. It's and it's not just that, but it's like there's but it's like a real proper strategy or tragedy, the way Shakespeare might have wrote it,
Oh,
where
it falls right in line with
where
Shakespeare
like
tragedy.
the where the character, like just before all goes wrong, like after it's like already too late, like that's like when the characters sort of realize where they went wrong, and that's what like really that's what really sort of gives you that sort of gut punch. That's like beyond like the obvious like bad things that actually happened, like that realization, um, uh, like really sells it.
That's
That
actually
near hallucination at the very end, that
Well-
was fucked.
not even that, but that's an extremely good point. In that likening it to a Shakespearean tragedy, even the way the acts play out and the way the hero's story goes through it, the way the hero's end is met.
Yeah,
is-
well, it's
it-
everything. It's everything. J.R.R. Martin doesn't understand about story writing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
okay.
Hey,
J.
hold on,
the truth.
Hold on, I
J.R.R.
need to say
Martin.
something, okay?
I-
My dragons are bigger.
Or
my dragons
what
are
was his
bigger than
name?
your-
George. I
G-
love that.
George G.R.R. Martin.
George
Who
R.
cares?
I love how
exactly.
you. I love how you just like mixed what is
I-
it, J.K. Rowling?
I'm
and
a
George.
little. I'm a
Both of them are hacks. Both of them are hacks. One
well.
of them does stories,
No.
one of them
I
does
mixed.
Lord of the Rings.
I mixed him with Tolkien, like an
Yeah,
idiot.
you mixed Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, and Game
Well,
of Thrones.
no, I didn't mix Harry Potter in with it.
That's your brain on Cyberpunk, people.
What is it?
Yeah. Well, that's
Oh,
my.
yeah, you're right. You're sorry. J.R.R. Tolkien and George.
Yeah,
R.
yeah.
Martin.
George R.R. Martin. They both have R.R. in the damn thing, and they write fantasy.
Well, at least it's not.
But, like,
RR.
Hold up. We gotta watch the South Park episode on that shit. He's like his dragons are bigger.
Where the
God.
rails
He
go?
said that shit in real life. He thinks he's better than Tolkien because his dragons are bigger and he has sex instead of relationships.
well,
And
like well, his dragons are bigger. He kills people off, and you get to see the tax
Oh, yeah.
policy. Well, what do you fucking do?
Oh yeah. Oh, also incest. Don't forget that. Anyway, so the anyway, you were saying?
Yeah, like all like that sort of like Shakespearean style writing and whatnot, where they finally realize where they went wrong after everything is too late. That's what George
Yeah.
R. Martin like doesn't understand. What the writer of this show actually does.
David has
And-
that moment of Lady Macbeth washing the blood off her hands.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's literally that scene where he's like, I can't get the blood off my hands, and reliving that moment where he has.
he killed that one girl in the office because she
The
walked in on him
cyberpsychosis.
killing her boss.
And
Yep.
that's his Lady Macbeth moment.
Yep.
It'd be criminal to not mention Rebecca during the final parts of the series.
She got
Yeah,
done
this
dirty.
is one of those things, like, because she is definitely for him. Like, she is gunning for the motherfucker.
She
did
does.
And
did
He's-
more.
Yeah, and like he's too absorbed, I guess, in Lucy to realize that.
Yeah, like Rebecca is like. I mean, there's that whole part. I don't like this just friends shit.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's
Oh,
like,
to be
Right.
fair, I probably wouldn't date you either if you looked like a fucking demon.
Oh,
Sorry,
come
a
on.
de- a
It
demon-
might be
Hey,
fun.
hey,
a
hey,
demonic-
So
hey.
each his
hold on,
You
own.
can go.
Wait,
Look,
hold
you
on.
can go-
Hold on.
Hold on.
Okay.
Demonic lolly.
Okay,
Okay,
no,
look.
that's
look.
not-
You
okay.
can go. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
All right. We like in that universe, right? Everyone's modded out.
Oh yeah.
Like you're gonna get some weird shit.
She
Like-
has
like-
gray
it's-
skin and
there-
red eyes.
So
It's-
what?
If you
She-
can body
look,
mod,
look,
there is
look.
someone that wants to be 18 forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yep.
like
Oh look. Yep. Mhm.
well, and then if you're body modding, like there's always like these like weird issues of like how the mod that you bought is gonna like stay on you and like how like you're gonna age into it and like there's all of this weird shit. So like yeah, you're gonna get like fucking weird demon things. I mean,
That's-
like
yeah.
Kiwi's body's kind of fucking weird too.
Well, she doesn't have a mouth for one.
actually,
she has a
that's a-
dynamic instead.
That's a real thing. I had a buddy who had his hand crushed by an anvil when he was a kid, and so he had
Oh,
to
shit.
have metal joint replacements. You have to go to the doctor every few years because your body changes, and so those joints have to be replaced.
Yep. Well, the thing is, in Cyberpunk world, it doesn't really that much of a problem because they, it accepts the body accepts the what do you call
No,
that?
it doesn't.
The
Cyberpsychosis
upgrades.
happens because the body starts losing its independence to the machinery.
Yeah. But that's different. That's psychological thing. It's not physical.
No, it's
So-
neurological and psychological.
Yeah, neurological. My bad. Sorry. Yeah.
But it's not like organ rejection.
Yeah. It's not like this. The way that they portrayed in the, as we said in the game, it's different. But this show, I think, because it's in the game, it's just not to the same extent because you cannot overload yourself in the game.
Yeah.
The way that they portray the scene where he, from Arisaka Tower, I believe, they just go way for the wall, and they in the flight, all the way to the ground, going down, and she goes, and her hands go basically trying to like, I don't know, like collect him as she's trying to touch her. She's trying to touch his face, right? And the way the animation does is just this glitching out of whole of David face just goes around in every whatever direction, and she just does that motion, and the glitch stops out basically. It gets smaller and smaller, and then it goes into his face back. That moment, I think, is like one of the best moments I would say in anime history period. That characters basically like with understanding like this is absolutely fucked up, but we do have each other.
Okay.
That moment is just so good.
There's several really well planned moments in the show.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
but
and
this
what-
one, I would say the tops.
I mean, when he gets into the suit too, is the same. The way that plays out,
Yeah,
and
Well, although
the way
I-
Rebecca's acknowledgement of what he's about to do.
yeah.
All right, Mac.
The only part I don't understand is like they didn't show his torso like from the waist down being ripped, but it's being ripped. Like I don't like. Why do you skip that thing? Like I don't get it.
Well, let's
final thoughts.
Yeah.
final thoughts. We're out of time.
I
Yeah.
think we even just talking about these characters,
It
we
really
kind of hit the
sucked
whole.
that we had to be out of time because
We
have
talked
so
about
much.
3 characters, but we hit the whole spread. I think.
Yeah, because it's the main characters in general. Like Main is a good guy, but he's not. He's not
I-
the
I
not
Well,
interesting in terms of plot.
We
I
didn't
think
really
that
talk
does-
about Rip Doctor. We kind of talked a little bit about Pillar.
He's not- He's not. Look, here's the
Rip
thing: in terms of
Doc-
story and plot, they're not really there to be as a plot.
Yeah.
Like they're plot
If-
devices. They're
if
not
you-
characters.
He's still kind of supportive of David to an extent, even though he just sees him as a customer.
Yeah, but
Rip
he's
Doc-
a role model for him in the first
funny
part of the
enough,
show,
Funny
and
enough,
then he wants to become him, and he does. He does become him.
that's
and then
Maine. We're talking
Wait,
about the
switch-
Rip Doctor.
wait,
Yeah.
hold on. Rip Doc actually, funny enough, with the Shakespeare reference, Rip Doc acts as the soothsayer. He
Oh, yeah.
literally tells David
Mhm.
exactly what's going to happen. He acts as in what is it? Oh brother, where art thou? He tells
Oh,
them the
God.
whole story at the
Yep.
very beginning of the
Yep.
film.
Well,
Yep.
and that's why I was trying to like say it's like we haven't talked about them. Like we can see what's gonna happen through what happens with Maine. We can see the unexpected through Pillar, and like Rip Doctor is basically like a little bit of a narrator, like explaining like what is about to happen in this universe.
the
like
fortune
So
how-
teller.
this
how he's
is
always
basically
seen it.
just Macbeth.
It is.
Funny enough, like
That's-
it's a good show when you can relate it that far back to like
Mhm.
human literature and see all of these aspects that still hold true in
you
good
can't, like,
writing.
The other part is like it would take a lot for you to like think like, oh, this is Macbeth. It's not exactly like like The Lion King where it's like this is like almost a 1-to-1 copy,
Yeah.
but like you see all the elements and you're like, oh, this is where this inspiration came from, and
It's
that's
not
whenever
quite
it's really good.
Macbeth, though,
Good
because
art,
Lucy's not a fucking psycho.
Yeah.
good art acts
So-
like a hyperlink. It does its
Yes.
own thing, but you
Yeah,
can click
yeah.
on
Hold
it
up,
and
hold
see
up.
the
Lucy's
breadth
murdering
of-
people for him. Don't forget.
Mhm.
Oh, I mean, Lady Macbeth wasn't really a psycho either.
Well,
Yeah.
she wanted power, right?
But
So
and
But
in
yeah,
this story,
so
David kind of took the role of Lady Macbeth.
oh yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
so
All right,
yeah,
well let's
so,
let's go on to the conclusions.
hmm all right, I always start this. Fuck it. Okay. Oh, God, like it's so good. Like, um, outside of like a couple character flaws, but I mean at the same time, that's why they're character flaws. I really can't find many issues that I've had with the show. I loved it. I love every part of it. Um, I love how like crazy the world is. All of my gripes are basically only things that are so fucking niche because like this is my favorite genre, which is why I've been trying to take like a little bit of a backseat because I don't want to get into like these like really off tangent things. Um, that like I can't really say anything bad about the show. It's all my issues are just these tiny little minute little things that no one is gonna care except me. Um, so like I have to give it like I'm gonna say a 9.5. It's definitely one of the best animes I've watched in a long time. It kept me entertained. It did every single job it was supposed to do. The only thing, and this is the only thing I didn't even bring up, I didn't like the voice acting whenever they were talking with like their texts, but they were texts back and forth. Like they're gonna sound kind of weird anyway. That's the only gripe that I had where it was kind of like weird. Everything else was beautifully done. Everything else was amazing. It's just I wish we had more moments like the whenever they installed the Sandevistan, how his like back was still bloody and like there was like all of like this jankness to it whenever like you're slowly modding something and then
Let's
like you
get Crumb the
slowly
fuck
well
up.
and then you slowly get like the definitions and like you slowly rebuild back in. It has to like slowly fit into your body. We didn't get those moments and I wish we saw a little bit more of that, but outside of that everything else was perfect.
Let's get Crumb the fuck
All right,
up.
676.
I'm kind of in the same camp. Like, as much as I hated, like, Lucy and David just angered me. But in terms of what the show does, what it sets out to do, I cannot give it any kind of flack for. I love, and just David walking home, that soundtrack set to it. Like, I blast that driving around town now. They do so many things right in this show, and talking about it now, seeing like even Shakespearean references, like no anime tries to do that anymore. And so, like for me, I'm sitting at a solid like 8.5.
Damn. Ooh.
All right, Neko.
Oh boy. 9.5. Yes, I'm ready for stones to be thrown at me. Um, the dynamic between Lucy and David is amazing. The comparison to Macbeth is not, well, it's seen there, but it's not the same. Characters outside of well, Lucy, David, Rebecca, not really much to talk about. I mean, Faraday obviously as well, but the thing is, this is the core, and the story is people. I think people have a misconception about the whole anime is that this is supposed to be this cool, amazing cyberpunk story about how gang of cool people just showing it to the corporate world. That's not it. This is like
Everyday
tragic
people being
love
crushed
story.
underneath the machine.
Yeah. But they trying to reach to each other and like grab it basically so that they be they are together basically, not separate. Um, I, the animation is amazing. I think the money that they spend, Trigger, Netflix, Studio Trigger, amazing. Like this is the stuff that we should get a lot more of, and not the trash that Netflix releases once upon a time. Music, amazing. The only flaw is that I want more of it, and 10 episodes is a little bit too small. I know it's OVA technically, but you kind of have to like, please give me a second season. Come on, like, or at least make a DLC for the game.
Even if it's not the same characters, give me that team.
Yeah. Well, they can bring him back because remember the construct is there, so you can absolutely bring him back. Same for Lucy, like she's alive. So
All right. Striker.
All right. I honestly, at first, I'll be real when I said I was very much reluctant to watch this. To be fair, and not because of the reasons you guys did it, but the thing is, if a show was so hyped to the point that it would, I was being afraid that it would disappoint me, and frankly, it ended up being the complete opposite. Where do I start? All right, uh, the fact that the fact that it's your typical batshit insane animation that Trigger pops out. That's a plus. The voice acting. This show is actually one of the very rare occasions where, of all things, the English dub is as good as the Japanese, at least in certain areas. Kudos to the writing as well, especially from Bartosz C. Tibor, who was the man who wrote the for the game as well. Hiroyuki Maishi, the director. I think the guy does like a kilo of cocaine once a day before he comes up with this shit. That being said, the music, man, the music is so good, especially Franz Ferdinand's it's a fire because that shit brought me flashbacks of when I used to play Burnout 3 Takedown.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That's where I heard this song for the first time. This was years ago. You know what's insane? They actually all managed to God damn it, Josh.
No,
Okay.
just keep talking. Like,
Okay. When I found out that Giancarlo Esposito was going to be the voice of Faraday, I shat bricks. Because rarely do we review anything were from someone from Hollywood. Like the last time we did this, it was the Street Fighter movie with Bryan Cranston. Now we got the guy who played not only honestly, I would say between Rebecca's voice acting, her English, honestly, the Japanese one, Tomoyo Kurosawa. Kira, I know you watched Akiba Maid War. She was the Ganguro. Shipon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Big fucking gremlin energy. Better than the American. I'm sorry. Better than the American.
Yeah, it's okay.
I mean, I'm being real when I say.
Can we go back to something really quick before we end this? Bryan Cranston and Street Fighter.
Excuse me.
Please don't interrupt him.
Yeah.
RJ. All right. You'll have your turn, RJ. Okay. So, what is the score for this absolute motherfucking unit of an anime?
Please do not interrupt him.
All right. My profile pic says it best. Efectivamente es cine. Effectively, it's cinema. 9.5. Check it out in both languages. It is brilliant. The English is better though, because in English it actually keeps the slang term compared to the Japanese. They don't do that shit.
Mm-hmm.
So, RJ, you're on, bro.
What you just said, agreed. Because Cyberpunk is an American. I think it's American. It's an American piece of media.
American Polish.
Okay, but yeah, so you're gonna have like slang that's not gonna translate. So yeah, obviously, view it in something that it's tied to linguistically. Anywho, you were so excited. I thought we were about to end the podcast. I'm like, wait a minute, I haven't done my score yet. real quick, Bryan Cranston. Are you talking about Raul Julia? You said Street Fighter movie.
No, I meant
Oh,
Bryan Cranston.
the anime. Yeah. Okay, the one we covered, the Street Fighter 2 the movie. Yeah. Okay, sorry, I got confused. I forgot he was in an anime. Anywho, so I'm gonna have to just off the bat 10. I'm gonna give it a 10. This is you guys kept bringing up the Shakespearean stuff. I didn't even notice that, and I'm a literature buff. So yeah, this show made me happy, miserable, angry, and I haven't felt emotions for any shows lately. I've actually been watching old anime out of boredom because I watched some new stuff like Iron Blood, like Gundam, Iron Blooded Orphans, and stuff like that. But I just don't have interest in a lot of new animes because like they kind of I don't know they don't draw me in as much anymore. But this it'd be a lie to say it was a breath of fresh air. It wasn't a breath of fresh air. It was a whole new spectrum. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't expecting it to be this good. In fact, I'm actually going to admit, for a while I ignored it because I'm like, oh great, another hyped up show, kind of like how what Lewis said. And then I watched it. And I'm just like, no. This can't be over yet. This cannot be over yet. There's more. There's got to be more to this. And it's just like, yeah, no, got to wait for another season. So it was good. It was outstanding.
All right. So there really hasn't been any good like cyberpunk anime in a long time. And it's kind of sad because like cyberpunk was like one of the go-to genres for anime back in the 80s and 90s. And there was really just a lot of really cool stuff. Uh, not just with like the aesthetics, but they had like all sorts of like crazy like Eastern and Western philosophy going into the writing of these shows. And they had plots that would that where like the entire world would just like would just like fall into like this like postmodern deconstruction of itself in the end. And it was always like a real interesting watch. And we haven't had like anything good like anything like that in a long time. And I'm not going to say that this show was like quite uh like the cyberpunk anime of old, but you know it was kind of going for a more Western thing than uh than the uh than the old shows. But it's still nice to really nice to see it back. And it I don't know, it's one of the best shows I've seen in a long time. Um it's nice to see like actual animation. I said we've been seeing like more and more CGI over the years, and it's been getting on my nerves. But now we're going back to with this we're going back to like real proper 2D animation. Um. Uh. Cool soundtrack. I didn't like all the songs. There were a couple that I didn't like, but uh, soundtrack was pretty cool. Characters were good. Plot was incredible. The writing was very relatable. It like it would a lot of things were like exactly like things that I've experienced in real life, like a lot of the little things. Um So like everything just felt really authentic. They really felt like real people a lot of the time. So yeah, it was all great. I'm gonna give it a 9.5.
Yep.
All right.
All
That's
right,
about
that
it.
gives us a 9.4 average. The IMBD was where did it go? 8.3, and the Mal is an 8.6.
Fucking hell.
So like,
Yeah,
All right,
people didn't like that as much as we did because they're just. I mean,
if you
it's okay
don't,
if they allow to have shit taste.
I was gonna say like,
I think the one-off part of it definitely bothered a lot of people.
it
Like,
bothered a
what
lot
do you
of
mean I
people.
don't get more?
And then so there's that. I know that there's people that didn't like just there's people that just don't like Cyberpunk, um, and just don't understand like the world. And if you don't understand like or have like the fascination of like this type of world, it's really bad.
That's not only
But
this.
outside
I
of that,
understand.
like it's so good.
all right. Hold on. I want to ask something real fucking quick.
Go on.
Was this show actually worth the fucking hype?
Yes.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'd
If,
say
if we
so.
gave it above a 9 in general, like it's worth the hype.
I think the only shows that we've rated around this high are like Made in Abyss and like
Oh, yeah.
Laputa Castle in the Sky.
We also gave Cowboy Bebop
Yeah.
something similar to 9.
Oh, I think Josh might have scored it lower than the rest of us.
Which one?
Cowboy
Cowboy
Bebop.
Bebop.
Yeah,
What did
I
we
didn't
give
like
Promise Neverland?
it. That was like a probably like an 8-ish, I want to say,
Mhm.
because the first season
Okay.
was amazing, and I know it falls off, but
Yeah.
I
So
read
that's what we reviewed the first season.
yeah.
I
think
remember
the-
reviewing the first season, and then I just read the manga to the
Of what? Neverland?
Eh,
yeah. The manga
Yeah.
gets weird.
Yeah, it does.
Anyway, if we
Well-
go back to the Cyberpunk a
I
little
was
bit,
gonna ask who gave this show a bad score? Who gave not a bad score? Sorry.
Oh.
Who gave Cyberpunk a lower score than 9.5? I'm curious.
It was an 8.5. I can't remember who.
Yeah, that was me.
Why?
Lucy
It's
and
still
David.
it's Lucy and David took
But
off.
it's look, it's still a good score.
Yeah, it's and
so,
that's
you know.
Yeah, I know.
Everything
It's like-
else does it. I just Lucy and
Yeah.
David like
Yep.
shut
Well,
up. I hate you guys both.
Look, it's like women. If it's more of an 8, you're good in territory. Here's the thing about Cyberpunk and H1s. The reason why people didn't like the show as much as we did is probably simple. First, it came out like a few months after the disastrous launch of the game, so people were really soured on the game and on the studio, and that basically seen as this like a cash grab, basically. Especially if it's on Netflix. That adds a lot of negativity straight up.
That's why I didn't watch it at first.
Yeah.
I was like, great, another Netflix.
Yeah, because
People
tie-in.
don't tend to trust Netflix originals anymore.
Yep. And
Yeah.
that just really like just to hammer this home for anyone that's still watching. That really just should hammer it home. Like it's. I said this in the chat, and like that's why he got all fucking pissed off. Well, they're like, why? This show is the exact opposite of the game. We expected nothing from the show because the game was so fucking trash. It was on Netflix. We've been just getting trash anime from Netflix. We've been getting trash spin-offs from like people trying to sell their like game and all this other shit. And then we get this amazing fucking show. And that's really what is so shocking to like you can walk you walk into this with no expectations because there shouldn't be any. The game was so bad on launch that there shouldn't have been any extra content that came with it. The entire premise of just trying to use this to boost sales is just like, oh, it's going to be an OVA, who cares? And it's top tier. Like we haven't gotten something this good in years. And that's
all-
that's the struggle. It's like oh, like we're just so jaded that it's like, oh, it's gonna be trash because of all these other issues, that now we're just like, oh shit, like we almost missed this just because
Yeah.
of like
all,
all of the other shit that came around it.
and all
The
of a
ci-
sudden it
the
flips to
criticism
like
is quite disturbing at times.
it flips to the South Park episode where Cartman's like, "You can't have any more," but I want more.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Well,
I mean,
it's
they gotta come up with
probably
TLC though. Remember,
well, it's probably good that we can't have any more. I mean,
Well,
like
yeah.
season like season 1 was so good. You know, there's a danger that like season 2 is just not going to be as good.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. fair enough.
it's also like we talked about this in past episodes. Every time we do a review on a second season of an anime that we loved, it always ends up trash.
Well, it's also nice to just see something that's just a
Resolve.
self-contained story
Yes. And
that gets resolved, and then you don't
yeah,
you don't have to like sit there and wait for more of it.
we
And
got a
it-
conclusion. It's not going to be drawn out. Like it was exactly what we wanted. It was a good experience. We all get to live with it. And guess what? It really does sell the game. It makes me want to go, okay, what happens next? Because
Funny
the
and-
next thing is the game.
Yup,
You
and
you
that
would
was
have
where-
to point a gun at my head to get me to play a AAA game.
Nah,
The-
I'll
Oh
go
come on,
watch-
this is a good
I'll go
one.
watch the cutscenes.
I gotta give them.
There are no
There's so
cutscenes?
many things that
I'll
they
go-
did connect
I'll
to
go
the game.
figure it
There are
out.
cutscenes.
Yeah.
I mean, they even connected Adam Smasher to the game. Like, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So yeah. So
And you really hate this guy by the end of the game as well, so that kind of adds the fuel to the fire.
He's a psycho. He's a psycho in the lore. Complete
But-
psycho.
Yeah,
But
I
you
mean,
get what
he's
I
a
mean, like,
cyborg.
like at the very least, it's like, oh, I'm gonna go watch a playthrough. Like it's like I want to
Yeah.
know what happens. Like
Just
that's
go
what I'm
play
saying.
it.
It's yeah. It's
It
But
as a side property, it did its job.
yes, and that's
Oh,
what
yeah.
I'm trying to say. It's like I hate playing AAA games. I don't have time for them anymore. I'm too fucking busy. But goddamn, did this make me actually want to be like, maybe, like, and that's with knowing how fucking bad that launch was. That's knowing with how buggy it is. That's knowing that my computer can't run it, so I'm probably gonna have to play it on a PS4 where it's even buggier. So, like,
no, don't
it-
do it. Yeah,
but
no.
but you see what I'm saying?
Well,
Is
can
like
I- can I
that's
plug
how
in?
good
I wanna
this game
plug-
was.
let me-
This
You have a
show is-
laptop.
God
It is
damn it!
capable of
Let me,
doing
God
it.
damn it!
What do
Let me plug this something in. Once the website is fixed, I want to share something with you. I wrote an article on how to get it working on DirectX 10, so you can run it on your computer. You just need to shut off DirectX 11.
Yeah.
But the point of that like entire rant was not I'm gonna go out and play it and buy it and whatever. The point of that entire rant was that show did its job to say, even knowing how bad all of that is, it makes me want to do it. Right? That's the point. And that's how good this show is.
This ended up being the game's redemption arc,
Yes.
at least.
Yeah.
And the fact it won so many awards regarding as
Mhm.
best anime of the year,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's well deserved. It's well deserved,
It ju-
really.
it's
Looking
it's
at it-
absolutely justified no matter what fans say.
I think
All
we
right.
need to end it. We've went past our review time. We went into
Yeah,
rants
let's-
afterward.
okay.
Wait-
The show's
wait,
amazing.
is-
Go watch it, please.
Go watch it. Go
All
play
right.
video games.
It's
Enjoy
worth it.
your spring beginning. So
Yeah,
Unless you live
everyone
in
have a
certain
good
spots.
everyone have a good April. All right.
yeah.
Hey,
It was gonna be
happy
Guys,